Parshos Vayichi. Vayichi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim 17 shana. Yaakov lived in Eretz Mitzrayim 17 years. He lived, and Chazal say these were the 17 years that he truly lived. 17 Minyan Tov, the gematria of Tov, of good. These were the good years of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu goes down to Mitzrayim, and with him Klal Yisrael descends into Golus. Chazal tell us that Kol Zman Yaakov Avinu was alive, the Jewish people didn't feel the Meitzorim of Golus. They didn't feel the walls closing in on them. After Yosef died and the Shvatim died and there was a Vayokom Melech Chodosh, then the Tzoras HaShibud was Meitzah upon them. Yaakov Avinu demonstrates that even in Mitzrayim, even in the most difficult straits and constraints of life, it's possible to live, to remain alive, to be one with Hashem. That is the whole midah and characteristic of Yaakov Avinu. In the house of Lavan, in the time when Yosef is missing, there's a potential and a possibility for chiyus. How do we achieve chiyus in times of tzar and meitzah? Because every challenge and every difficulty that we experience in life is an echo of the broader galus that Klal Yisrael feel. How do we experience chiyus? How can we be connected with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And the Sepharim tell us that the medium through which we connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu is through communicating with him. Just like we know in real estate, there are three most important things that one has to have in mind when one purchases real estate for investment. Location, location, location. And so it is with relationships. Communication, communication, communication. Communication is the key. It's everything to making a relationship work. Anochi Hashem Elokecha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I am Hashem your God, Hama'alcho me'eretz Mitzrayim, Harchev picha v'amaleu. We say it every morning from Tehillim in Hoidu. I am Hashem. Hashem says, I am Hashem your God. I take you out of the land of Egypt. Harchev picha. Broaden your mouth, v'amaleu, and I will fill it. And we talk about the Golus of Mitzrayim, we talk continuously about the Dibur being in Golus. Chazal determined that the essence, the source of what it meant for Klal Yisrael to be in Golus was that they were unable to articulate their words to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We, human beings, are created as a Ruach Mamalala. We are endowed with a spirit of being able to speak. Speech is the crowning faculty that distinguishes a human from everyone else. We take the breath of life, the neshima, and crunch it through the mouth, through the body into words. HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows us to emulate him, to be B'Tselem Elokim, to take words and communicate with them, our deepest ratzon, our very being. And we can become one with Hashem, just like Hashem, through the medium of words, through the medium of tefillah. That's how we come out of the Meitzah. We have to communicate with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Chaznish writes that if we contemplate this, we realize this is the greatest gift that we're given by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that at any given time we can communicate directly with him. The Melech Malchei Amlochim. He created the entire world with all its cosmos and galaxies and billions and trillions and gazillions of light years and stars and all the functioning cosmo, everything inside of it, our world, our ecosystem, with all its finest and myriads, mind-blowing components within every human frame, within every molecule of creation. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I want you to communicate with me. I'm open. My door is always open. And so, Erev, Vovoike, V'Tzaroim, Osicha, V'Eheme, I can connect in the most intimate way with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's a tikkun. Yaakov, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov Tikkun. They established hotlines with which we can communicate with Hashem. But in truth, the Sfarim tell us that we, as Yidden, should be communicating with HaKadosh Baruch Hu all the time. There's a lashon, there's an expression. The Lev Simcha, I think it was, he used to say to someone, he said to someone once, he said, Zaya tfiladike Yid. You say a heartzige Yid, a person has a great heart. He's Hamish, there are different diggers that a person has in Yiddish. A heartzige Yid. A tfiladike Yid, that means I'm saturated and permeated, and it's instinctive to me to pray. That is the essence of a Yid. And the Chazon Ish writes that if we contemplate this gift, that we can at any given time, as the Am HaNivcha, have an open communication with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have his private number, his cell number, and he picks up at any given time whenever we call him. We should be calling him, messaging him, texting him, calling out to him all the time, sending little pictures, just telling him we're here. It doesn't matter how, what, where, when. But a Yid darf ständig, all the time, we have to be connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have the Gemara tells us when we take some medication, take any medicine, we're supposed to say, Yehi esek zeh li l'refuah. Let this be l'refuah. We send our children off to school. We give a little tefillah. Let it be geschmack for them. Let them not feel the confines of the school, the discipline. Let them feel a little bit uplifted. Let the teacher's words penetrate their hearts. We go to the store. Please, Hashem, can you make sure it should be easy for me? I shouldn't get exasperated. There shouldn't be someone in the line before me. I should be able to find what I need easily. Everything, the smallest things. We can communicate with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to communicate with him all the time. And then we have life's big, looming, overwhelming challenges. All of us have. Sometimes it may be children, parnasa, a shidduch. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's there. The Sfarim tell us a mashal. There was a fellow who was in hospital, couldn't move, he was in the hospital bed. And he had a very dear, close friend who used to come every day, would make sure that he was properly washed down. He would attend his every needs. And he knew his friend loved coffee. He would bring him a little cup of coffee every morning with a straw to help him drink a little coffee. He loved his friend so much. He did anything and everything to ease his discomfort. And his friend found out, this fellow found out in the hospital, that his friend was connected, was very well connected. And he knew a doctor in the Mayo Clinic that knew exactly his disease, his challenge, how to cure it. Well, of course, this is his closest friend. He comes every day. He's there all day, sitting by his hospital side. He's going to ask his friend, please, you connected with Dr. So-and-so. Could you just give him a call? I know it's so hard to get an appointment with him. Maybe he would be able to see me. Of course he would ask him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who has the key and the answer to all of our life challenges and all of our life problems. He's taking care of us. He's giving us life and breath every single second. So when we have a challenge, we have a problem, what we need to do is open up our mouths. Harchif picha. And Hashem says, I'll fulfill your wishes. I'm there for you. I love you. Just open up your mouth. Speak to me. I want to hear your voice. Hashmini es koilech ki koilech orev umarich nova. Hashem says, your image, your visage is so beautiful. I want to hear your voice. It's delightful. We only have to believe it. And so Chazal instituted, David HaMelech instituted, we should say 100 brachas each day. We say brachas in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, at every Eis Matzoi. Rav Shimshon Pinkus writes in his Sefer something very beautiful. He says, you know, HaKadosh Baruch Hu could have created us in any which way. He could have formed us in a manner that the food we ingest is burnt. There's an internal combustion system, and it's Lechem avir machal ish. It's burnt inside of us. Maybe we have a little pipe outside of us that takes out the exhaust fumes from the distillery system. Why do we have to go to the bathroom all the time? The food, the body absorbs the vitamins, the nutrients, the goodness of the food, and then it has to expel and repel all the leftover, the psoilus. And we have to go to the bathroom. Sometimes it's not so comfortable, sometimes it's hard, sometimes we have to wait till we find a bathroom. In the world at large, it's something in our genteel, civil society. It's something, you know, we couch it in comfortable words. Where's the men's room? Where's the ladies' room? You know, we see it as a weakness of the human condition. But we celebrate it. We Yidden come out of the bathroom when we make an Asher Yatza. And it's one bracha, it's so fascinating. It's one bracha which Chazal determined, we're not simply going to thank Hashem, we were able to perform our bodily functions. We're going to thank Hashem in detail. And we go into in detail how complex the body is and how Kadosh Baruch Hu created so many sinews and such a mass integrated system. We contemplate for a little bit the beauty and the complexity and the divine elements of the human body, and we make an Asher Yatza. Why did Hashem have to create us in that manner? That we have to go continuously? Because He yearns and seeks and wants us to communicate with Him continuously and to ponder the complexity and the depth of our bodies, the wonders of the human body, umafli la'asos, and to thank Him for it. All Hashem wants is for us to connect to Him. And every challenge and every difficulty we have, every meitzah, every golus that we experience, every time we experience a challenge and we think, how am I going to get out of this? There's an element of chiyus. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is calling to us and He wants us to live through this moment. He's only giving us the challenge that we should communicate and connect to Him and recognize there's a pella. There's a connection between heaven and earth over here. Communicate with me. Connect to me. The Pasuk says, O Pari Hikrib, when Pari drew close to the Jewish people, they were trapped before the sea. And on both sides were mountains and rocks. Behind them, the Egyptians were chasing them, and in front of them was the sea. And the Midrash says, Nis'ava HaKadosh Baruch Hu litfilosan shel Yisrael. All HaKadosh Baruch Hu desired and wanted was the Vayitzaku. And so it was, the Jewish people in Egypt, the stirrings of Golus began when Vayitzaku, they cried out to Hashem, Vatal Shavasam Elohim. There was a Shivati. Vatir Poeni. There was a shivati, there was a crying out to Hashem. All Hashem wants from us is communicate with me. Connect to me. I want to hear your voice. Hannah, in her tefillah for children, she's barren. She's incapable of having children almost 20 years. She sees her counterpart, Penina, having child after child, and she's barren. And from the tefillah that she gave and offered to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we learn out, the Gemara devotes almost a whole blat in brachas. We learn out so many laws of tefillah from Hannah. Hannah was the exemplar, the one who established how we should daven. Hannah introduced a new concept of Hashem Tzavokos. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. She blazed a new pathway in connecting to Hashem. And when she conceived and gave birth to Shmuel in her Shira, one of the words she says, Ein Tzur Kalekenu. There's no tzur like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's no rock. There's no one to depend on like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A rock is a symbol of strength, of dependency, of being. And she says, Ein Tzur Kelekenu, and Chazal tell us, Ein Tzur. Don't read Ein Tzur, which rock is like God. He's the source of strength. Ein Tzayir Kelekenu. Which artist is there like Hashem? Hashem is an artist. She describes Hashem like an artist. We wonder, what does that mean? I saw a beautiful pshat from Rabbi Biederman, Yerushalayim. He says the most beautiful thought. He says, you know, you look at an artist. Art is a very beautiful, deep form of expression. And a true artist, a real artist, a Renaissance artist can develop a painting that looks so real, it accentuates and highlights the features of a person in such a way, or a scene, you can bring it so to life, it's more true to life than life itself. You look at some of the paintings of the masters, they're captivating, they're enthralling, they're mesmerizing. You could look at every detail and ponder it. And he said, sometimes you have an artist that is so true, he draws so true to life, that we talked about in the past, the famous artists that drew a painting of a scene of a garden with the gardener holding a bowl of fruit, and the birds came and pecked at the fruit. It looked so real. It was so authentic. You know, in Yerushalayim, today it doesn't stand anymore. The Jordanians destroyed it in 48, but there was a shul in the old city, famous shul, Reb Nissen Beck shul, very famous, how the Kaiser Wilhelm helped complete the dome, the hat on top of the shul. It was the most exquisite, beautiful shul after the Chorva shul in the old city. The most famous shul was Reb Nissen Beck. They just actually, interesting, they finished completing the renovations of the Chorva shul, and they just started now rebuilding Reb Nissen Beck shul. It's going to be a very beautiful shul. One of the features of the shul that was most beautiful, not just its architecture, but the shul had a painter that drew murals around the walls and on the roof. An incredible artist. I believe the same artist, and it's still standing today, drew a mural on the roof of the Eitz Chaim shul in the Meir Sha'arim. You could go there, I've been there, and I look at the roof, at the ceiling of the shul. You still see, obviously, it's very water-stained. It's nothing like it was when he originally drew it, but you could see an artist that was absolutely out of this world. He lay on his back, I think, for 7 or 8 years while he drew the fresco on the ceiling of the Eitz Chaim shul. But he drew the paintings in the Nissen Beck shul, and it said about him that as he was drawing, he drew one of the walls with a picture of a Sfarim Shafa, a bookcase with Sfarim on it, and part of one of the shelves was partially empty. And one morning he came in to continue his work, and he was holding a cup of coffee during his work, and he put it down on the shelf in his on the wall. Of course, there was just a piece of art, and the coffee splattered all over the wall. He had to clean it up. But it was so real. It was more real than life itself. That's a true artist. But it pales into the real artist, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because nevertheless, anybody who walks into the shul realizes that the art, really, he can be deluded a little bit. But when he ponders it, he realizes it's part of the wall. This world, the entire world, is throbbing with life. And it looks like it functions for it itself, but really it's just a painting from the master artist, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It looks so real! We're so sure that if we just do this and just do that, and we just had this, and we manipulated and moved this and did that, and we're taught all kinds of techniques how to change this and move that, and influence other people, and empower ourselves to do this, do that. And it's all a piece of art. Ultimately, the controller, the one who stands at the helm, is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who invests and animates it with life every single second. Chana says, Ein Tzur Kelekenu. And when we daven, we learn from Chana the essence of tefillah. We realize HaKadosh Baruch Hu holds the keys. And when we're connected to the source, we're really connected to the source of life itself. The Pasuk says, Hashlech el Hashem Yehovcha. Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon says, Hashlech el Hashem Yehovcha, v'hu yichalka leka. Throw on Hashem your burden, and He will sustain, He'll provide, He'll take care of you. Very interesting. What am I throwing on Hashem? Why do I have to throw it? Why can't I just delicately give it? And I heard a beautiful answer. It's very deep. What makes it so difficult for us to talk. The walls of our prison cell, the walls of our Meitzah, the walls of Mitzrayim, the walls of our Golos are so clammy, and they enclose us and encage us in such a strong way we don't feel worthy. We're sure that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not really listening, and he doesn't really, we don't deserve, we can't talk, we can't open up our mouths. We have to feel secure, and we have to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Kol Yachol, and we have to drop all the cheshbonos, all our calculations and all our thoughts and all our acumen that tells us, all our mean mind that tells us, no, we're not worthy, we can't, this is an impossible situation, we deserve this. We have to drop it all. Hashlech al Hashem Yehavcha. It's a mashal. There's a fellow, he has at home stashed away. There was a fellow he accumulated for a rainy day. He took all his savings and he put it into gold krugerrands, gold coins. Gold is a currency you always know, even if the local currency crashes, you have gold, keep it away for a rainy day. And he'd stashed away a few hundred gold coins. And he had to go away for a few months, leave his home. He didn't know what to do. He went to this friend, he went to that friend, he had many close friends. Everybody was afraid. What do you mean, my house, I can't store these coins, what do you want from me? I'm going to, so what happens, you know, even if I have a fire, I can't take responsibility. It's my house, you want me to insure my house with Lloyd's of London? I mean, I can't take these coins. He realized he didn't have anywhere safe to leave these coins. He realized there's only one way. He was leaving to the airport. The suitcases were on the roof. His wife and children were in the car. And he stopped off by his closest friend. And he knocks on the door. And he says to his friend, I'm late for the flight. I'm running to the airport. I have no eitzah. Please, here, just take this. And he throws him the big box of coins. He says, look after it carefully for me. I can't talk. I have to leave. I'm going to be late for the flight. Bye. And he runs into his car and he runs off to the airport. What's he going to do? That's the only way. His friend, his good, dedicated, devoted friend, of course, is going to look after the coins. He'll do his best. What should he do? Hashlech el Hashem Yehavcha. Throw Hashem your pekel. The pasuk says we have to take our pekel, the things that are challenging and difficult to us, and say, Hashem, I only have you here. I'm not going to think, I'm not going to make cheshbonos. I think I deserve, I don't deserve, I can, I can't. It makes no difference. I'm throwing him to you. I heard not long ago a story, a beautiful story. There was a fellow in Bnei Brak. He had two children. A girl who was over 30 years old, having great difficulty doing a shidduch. Unfortunately, such a common challenge in our generation. And he had a son following shortly thereafter, 28. He was very nervous, very worried. He didn't have the means. People weren't calling. There was no offers, no ideas, no thoughts, no shidduchim. He was feeling very helpless and hopeless. Sometimes, as hard as it is for a child, it's sometimes even harder for parents who worry. Their entire persona and hopes and legacy and image is wrapped up in the child. And all they want is just to be able to see the child well established, set up, secure, and able to continue the family chain. Nothing was happening. And he was feeling so hopeless and helpless. And he was walking in the street in Bnei Brak, and he saw a little child. You know, it's so interesting in Eretz Yisrael, the children, they grow up very fast. There was a 7-year-old boy, and he was sent out to the Makolet, to the corner grocery. His mother sent him out to go and buy some trays of eggs, and his mother must have been baking. He had like 3 trays of eggs in this bag, and he was schlepping it. He was a little kid. He could hardly carry the bag, and he was stopping every few feet. He was putting the bag down a little bit. He couldn't carry it. It was too heavy. And he was walking, this fellow was walking behind him. He saw the predicament of this child. He went over to the child. He said, here, let me help you. I'll take the eggs. Show me where you live. And the child was excited. The child was skipping ahead, and he was showing him where he lives. Baruch Hashem. And the Yid said, all of a sudden, I just burst out crying. I said, Hashem, I'm also your child. And I'm also carrying a peckle. And to you, it's just a little bag of eggs. It's nothing. You can carry my peckle so easily. Please, take my bag of tza'ah, take my challenges, take my worries. And he burst out crying, and with all his heart, he offered up an emistic tefillah to Hashem, a real true, from the heart, poured forth such a prayer to Hashem. And the little child took the bag and went up to his mother. And he moved on, and he said within 6 months, both his children were engaged to wonderful shidduchim. Everything worked out. Sometimes we have to pray, and we have to pray from the heart. We have to condition ourselves to continuously daven all the time. We have to say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're my tati. Tati, help me. You're here. I know you're listening. Just need a little help with this. It could be the simplest thing, the stupidest thing. Sometimes we're even embarrassed to think that HaKadosh Baruch Hu even cares about such a little thing. It doesn't matter. We have to open up our mouths and daven for everything. We're tefillah dike yidden. We open up our mouths. And sometimes it could be so simple, the tefillah. It doesn't matter. HaKadosh Baruch Hu hears, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows. Kugomel alei imui, kugomel alei nafshi, like a little child, just murmurs and burbles and says a few syllables. HaKadosh Baruch Hu understands. Because we're conditioned, we're like a child, and we know he's our tati, and he's going to help. And with that, we're connected to the source of chiyus. And with that, we experience the toiv. We're beneficiaries of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's goodness, and he takes us out of our meitzah and out of our golus. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help. We should all be able to feel that intimate, divine, close connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Always be able and ready to express even our fears and our inhibitions and our thoughts, our innermost thoughts to HaKadosh Baruch Hu at all times. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu surely will listen, and he'll take us out of this golus, the bigger golus, the broader golus, where we'll all be able to dance Lifnei Mashiach Tzidkenu B'mher B'yameinu.